Hey, what's up, everyone? Sly here with D, man. The disrespect. Obviously, we've heard Nick Wright talk trash about the 49ers, specifically Brock Purdy. But this right here, basically, it looks like he's giving us credit for a second, and then he kind of does something that kind of rubs us the wrong way. But let's check this out, and we'll talk about it.
Atop the tiers for the first time all year, it is the 49ers, who are also known as the 2019 49ers. 13-3, the 1 seed, great defense, great weapons, looked unstoppable, and then what happened? Oh, quarterback just couldn't make it happen in the biggest spot. Stated due to injuries, and I think everyone's like, yes, they were. They didn't have Trent Williams for 2 of those games.
Yeah, left tackle.
Right, but the fact of the matter is teams lose offensive linemen. The Jags lost their left tackle.
They don't have a great
The
offensive
Jags
line,
lost their left tackle for the season a few weeks ago. Nobody cares. It's never discussed. But with the team, for some reason with the Niners, it's like if everything's not perfect, it can't just work. So here's the thing.
Also might be a top
and by
10
the way,
player.
for the record, Brew's entire basis of the offensive line's no good is their PFF ranking, which I'm so glad you love PFF rankings.
They're 22nd. They actually dropped
I checked this morning. The PFF has your league MVP 12th in their quarterback ranking.
They're not right about everything.
Okay, there we go. So here's the deal. The reality is this. If the Niners have the league MVP or even close to that at quarterback, there is a massive, unbridgeable gap between them and everyone else.
Yeah.
That is just the fact, which is why the reason I am fine with saying right now I do not believe the Niners are going to win this, go to the Super Bowl or win it, is because I don't think the quarterback is nearly as good as others do. What is baffling to me is how Brew, who is saying he's the NFL's MVP. We all know that defensively they're better than Philly.
Yeah.
We all know their running back's better than Philly. We all know that while Philly's pair of wide receivers are better, San Francisco's got an elite pair of wide receivers. We all know that.
We all know
What?
Philly has and you want to poo-poo this, but Coach knows games are won in the trenches. Philly's got the best offensive line in the league.
Yeah.
And San Francisco's got a bottom 10.
Okay, again, I don't. I disagree with the idea that if you have Trent Williams at left tackle, unless you have 4 undrafted free agents, the rest of it, you're going to have a bad offensive line. I don't think we watch the Niners and say they have a terrible offensive line. Here's the deal, though. If everyone else is right about Purdy and Coach, me, Greg, everyone who's ever sat on this side of the desk is wrong about him, the Niners are going to coast to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they might.
They just will. The gap is unbridgeable if they have a great quarterback.
No,
because
not
2
true.
through 53, they have the best team.
Not true.
You remember prime Mike Tyson?
Yes.
I never liked him. You know why?
Why?
Didn't prove if he was down in the first few rounds that he could win a match. I always thought he was overrated for that.
All right, man. So basically comparing us to the 2019 49ers, you know, right there on the cusp of winning it. But the quarterback, he doesn't believe in the quarterback, and he makes up all these excuses why we're not that much of a favorite to win it all. But what do you think, man? Do you agree with him, or is this guy, you know, it's Nick Wright, man?
A little bit of both. First, I'll just say it is Nick Wright, man, and we've been saying it from before. This guy is just pure, just for entertainment. Even like the last 2 or 3 days, I would say he's been fact-checked by Broussard, where he's all like, well, Purdy, every time he throws it to Debo, he has a higher status because he gets those extra yards. And then Broussard's like, oh, really? And then they had the chart where it was, he actually had like the lowest out of Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and I think Tua.
It was like 48%.
Yeah.
Mahomes like 53%.
All of them were pretty much like in the 50s, and then he was at the bottom. So he's like, well, I fact-checked you there that he's actually one of the lowest out of all the quarterbacks after yards after a catch. And every time he's like saying like, oh, well, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do the deep ball. What does Purdy do? He gets the deep ball, and then he's like, well, like still, like he's going to be the reason why they lose it because he hasn't come from behind. So he just makes up like all these excuses like why we're going to lose. I will say this though, as far as like him and you know like all the analysts out there who are like pretty much the Niners hater, I will say they will continue this until we get over that hump. Because even though I like Purdy's my guy, I've been saying this since like day one. I was like, man, this guy's a way better arm than Trey Lance. I'd rather go with this guy. And I sounded crazy at the beginning saying that, but it's because man, we saw like how it was with the Harbaugh, with the quarterbacks we had. Good team, but we just couldn't get it done. And then we saw with Jimmy G and Trey Lance, and man, I just wasn't like. At first, I was like, oh, maybe Jimmy G's our guy, but then you saw, man, those big games. Man, he was just like a deer in the headlights. He just buckled up, and he would always just throw it away. That was like what pissed me off, that he wouldn't take his chances. And when he did take his chances, he was overthrowing it. And then Trey Lance, man, I just didn't like see like what they saw in him. But this is the first time we've had a quarterback where I'm like, dude, we legitimately have a chance. He's accurate. He gets the ball out quick. He makes plays. And so, and the whole team is behind him. The whole team wants him to succeed. So for us, we got to get over that humps, because that's always going to be the narrative of Purdy. Like, he's not the guy. He'll be the reason why we lose it. Or we're a good team, but Super Bowl will choke. Until we get over that hump, we win it. It's always going to be the same narrative. But I believe we're the best team of football, and I believe that our time is coming, that we got to get, we're going to get over it.
Yeah, and me and you, man, we're blessed to say that we were there when Brock Purdy's first practice in the NFL. We were there, and yeah, you did say Brock Purdy was the best quarterback. And I was like, what? Just because Trey Lance was there. I think Jimmy was thrown on the sideline. Yeah. When he wasn't practicing with us. And then I forgot who that other quarterback was.
It was
a guy who the Lions picked up. Stedham. Yeah, whatever. So, I mean, it was like, wait, what? But then, I mean, throughout the year, we knew that, you know, Brock Purdy was the guy. And obviously, there was most YouTube content creator Niner fans were saying that Trey Lance should still be the guy. And we're like, what the hell are you talking about? So, the fact that we've known for a while that this guy's a stud, to me, like when people say that, like him, kind of Eric Mangini was saying the same thing. He's kind of a pretty low-key hater too. It excites me just for the fact that we know for a fact that this guy's like way better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He's way better than most quarterbacks in the NFL. So we already know what we see in him. It's just that these like 20-30% of pundits or whatever feel that he's just a game manager or whatever. But well, we see something totally different, man. He's a stud. At the end of the day, he's a freaking stud. So Nick Wright, he can say all this stuff he wants. You know, that is basically going to be 2019. He's going to turn in a pumpkin at the end of the day. If we're down, it's over. I mean, we've seen it against the Raiders when he came back, and our defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, and he just kept driving down the field over and over again. You know, what we did last week against the Eagles. I know the Eagles aren't the greatest defense, but 6 straight touchdowns, you really don't see that in the NFL ever. So, like, to me, I'm licking my chops, man. I'm licking my chops, definitely. And what that one guy said at the end of the clip, he was like, "Oh, you know what? I don't like Mike Tyson because
what's his name?
Wilds."
Yeah,
but
Wilds.
He basically was
Wilds.
at the end. Yeah, if you heard that, he said, "Oh, I don't like Muhammad Ali because you know
Mike Tyson.
He's never been down in the car, so we don't know what the hell he does." It's like, exactly, man. That's what we hear all the time. We need to see him down. Why? Why in the heck would you want to see him down? To me, it doesn't make sense at all. Like, I don't know. I think that we're looking for someone like Michael Jordan, like hitting that last second buzzer beater or something like that. That's what they want. But shoot, at the end of the day, I just want a damn Super Bowl. If we're up blowing them out 42-10, that's not going to tell me anything if he's good or not. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous hearing that take that people are saying. But man, I'm telling you right now, I'm licking my chops, man. Brock Purdy isn't the weakling. In fact, I think he's one of the pound for pound better players in the game, on the team, which is hard to believe because we got studs out there. But the way he's able to process things, you just don't see that, man. It's special. It's really special, man.
And I think with Brock Purdy, until he wins that Super Bowl, he doesn't fit the narrative of what they want as a quarterback. And you look at the other two quarterbacks that they're in love with, all the analysts. Jalen Hurts, he's actually a stud. Like, I said, him was like probably the only guy in the NFC that would probably like take as our quarterback, and then maybe like a couple on the AFC. But other than that, like Jalen Hurts is a stud, but dude, he has one of the best offensive line. He also has one of the best receiving duo. He's I know he's been injured, but they have a stud tight end. They also have like 4 running backs that are like pretty good, and they rotate them all. And so he's got a good offense. Defense, that's a little shaky, but man, they went to the Super Bowl last year. Yeah, he doesn't get that narrative of like, oh, he can't get it done. You know?
Exactly.
And then Dak Prescott has the same thing. He's got a good running back duo. He's also got a good receiving core. Probably one of the best behind Tyreek, CeeDee Lamb. He's probably the second best receiver in the league. And he's got him, Gallup, what's the name? Brandon Cooks. I'm going to mispronounce it, but the Ferguson over the tight end.
He's good.
Yeah, he's a stud. And then so he's got a good offensive line, a good receiving core. And it's like, man, like he fucking like they hold him at a pedestal. Even though the teams he's beaten are scrubs, he hasn't beaten a winning team. I don't think this year.
Yes,
maybe except
it
the
was
Seahawks,
but now there's 500. So.
Yeah, so that's about it. But yeah, they praise these guys because Brock Purdy doesn't look the part. He's the last pick. He's smaller than a lot of the quarterbacks. He doesn't look like a Patrick Mahomes. He looks like more of like a substitute teacher in a way. But also, that being said, man, he's been proving everybody wrong. He's been playing like elite as far as like with that whole Eagles game, man. The way that he bounced back after the first quarter, because the first quarter I was a little nervous because he looked like shaking. He was like, "Fuck, they're pressuring the crap out of me," and I'm like trying to get it to receivers. I'm rushing it, but then we calmed down. Second quarter, he just took over the freaking game. He got everybody involved. I know Debo went off, but he got Ayuk involved, Christian McCaffrey. Juwan Jennings, man. Kittle, like everybody got a taste of it. And so that's what excites me. And so I really believe that he's our guy, that if we got any shot of winning it, it's with this guy.
Yeah, man. I personally, right now, I have no concerns, you know. In 2019, I thought Jimmy was a good quarterback. I thought he could get it done, but, you know, I was wrong. I really was wrong, you know, because he didn't turn into, I don't know, he turned into a pumpkin. But with Brock Purdy, even when we went on that 3-game losing streak, I was hearing a lot of 49er fans, you know, messaging me, on Twitter, saying, we told you, we should have kept Trey Lance, and all this stuff. And I'm just like, what the hell have you been watching, you know? We don't have the best offensive line out there, like the 21st ranked offensive line. We don't have a great offensive line at all, you know, other than, of course, a stud Trent Williams. But other than that, you know, from the center all the way to the right tackle, not that good at all. And, you know, he had the concussions he was dealing with, and those were, like, bad concussions, too. I mean, you used to box, and we know exactly getting a little dazed out there. So, I mean, to me, like, he was, like, the 5th, 6th thing that I was like, all right, there's something wrong there. But I was not concerned at all. Like, even against the Bengals, I think he threw for almost 400 yards. Yeah, he threw those 2 picks. We don't need those. But everyone's like, yeah, look what he did. He threw 5 interceptions. Is that what he has, like, all season long, like 5 interceptions?
I still
which is one of the lowest in the
lowest.
NFL. But then these guys, pundits, want to like critique that, like, oh man, look at that. He had 5 interceptions, those 3 was, but that's all he has.
And
so he's one of the lowest ones.
Quarterbacks that are right behind him, like the guys I mentioned, and even adding Mahomes and Lamar, they have more interceptions with less touchdowns. Brock Purdy has more touchdowns with less interceptions. So he's like one of the highest and top rating quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, so to me, it doesn't make sense. Like, he has, I think, the highest QBR, highest passer rating, like everything's so high, but they're just throwing it against him. Like, oh, he has so much talent. Like, dude, come on. Like, every team has talent. Look at the Lions. They have receivers, running back. Every team, like, has it, you know. But the thing to me is most important is the offensive line. But the fact that he's making our offensive line, like the media say, oh, yeah, they have a great offensive line, which is just not true. It's because he's getting rid of the ball so fast because he's processing things. We heard the other day what Sam Darnold said to Greg Olsen, how he's, like, the best person to able to process things. Like, I've never seen anyone like that in my high school, college, NFL. I've never had a quarterback. He was telling Great Olsen that, and it's kind of crazy that Sam Darnold, he's still, what, 25, 26 years old? Yeah, he's young as hell, and you don't see that, like, a quarterback start praising the starter, especially when you're still trying to start, and you're just all of a sudden you're goo gaga over the starting quarterback who's younger than you. Yeah. So that's absolutely insane right there. You don't ever see that. So that right there, I was just like, dang, that, like, to me, that spoke a lot about Sam Darnold. He's a pretty cool guy that he's saying all this stuff. And, like, two, he's just telling the truth, man. Like, you just, I don't know, I was mind blogging when I heard that shit. So absolutely insane, man. But that also just gives also a testament. Well, I will give credit to the people, Shanahan and John Lynch, is that it starts with on top, you know, because you saw, like, what happened during, like, training camp with Trey Lance, man. He didn't want to buy into the system. He found out he wasn't going to start. And he's like, man, I don't want to be a backup, like, fucking, like, train me, you know? And that just, like, with our team, like, and I already knew it going into offseason, because what did Kill say in that interview? He's like, it's Brock Purdy's job to lose, honestly. To me, I don't want to go off and speak about that, but to me, it was so obvious that Brock Purdy, for both of us, that Brock Purdy was our guy. I know that Flo actually did say, yeah, I think Trey Lance is going to start. And I was like, what? Like, what the fuck? Yeah. But I've heard that from it wasn't just him. It was so many people out there that was saying, yeah, give him a chance. It's not fair. It's not. I was just like, I was in, like, freaking, what's that comic book where everyone's in, like, Bizarro Land? That's what it reminded me of. I swear, when these people on YouTube, these Niner content creators, were, like, saying all this weird stuff. And I was just like, where the hell is this coming from? Brock Purdy's our guy, man. So, but just to add, like,
it just shows like how great our team chemistry is, because Sam Darnold's there and he's trying to help out Brock Purdy. Our team, where like everybody's all like aligned, like everybody's pumped up, man. When like they were at the Eagles game and they're like all like bonding together and like celebrating, going at it with the fans. I was like, damn, that was like awesome to see. And then you even saw after the game when you saw Frank Gore at the Eagles game, he was getting pumped. He's like, let's go. And so that's like what's awesome to see, is that the whole like the team is coming together at the right time.
Exactly. And in December, I think our percentage is 850. December and January, like 850 percentage of winning. So this is where we get hot right there. We get hot in November. December and January, that's where we heat up. So hopefully it just keeps going on. And I think we got the guys to do it, man. And that's pretty much what we got, man. But let us know what you think about it. Do you think Nick Wright's in the right, or is it pretty much Nick wrong, man? Let us know what you think. Make sure to like this video, comment. Talk to you next time. Peace.